Dang it. Hey guys. Welcome back to Flying in Space with Planet Head. Uh, wow, that sounded. Welcome back to Flying in Space with Planet Head. I should do voiceovers. Um, if you watch the last video that I did, I got my first PvP kill, which I was on a high, right after it, and stopped playing because I wanted to be on that high for a little bit. It was just a little rifter with a blaster fit in there. Um, and then I went and took a shower. While I was in the shower, I started thinking about everything that I did wrong. um, and it made me start thinking. What I'm about to do is pull up the raw footage of the video that I did earlier of that fight and go over some of the things that I remember doing correctly, but mostly the things I did incorrectly. And then I did have a second fight later on today after my Philadelphia Eagles won um, for the seventh time this year without any losses. Yeah, baby. Um, and I thought I'd pull that one up too because I haven't actually looked at the footage. I have some good feels for what I did, but I thought I would do that. The reason why I wanted to do this was actually something that I talked to a friend of mine at work the other day. Um, and I do my poker analogies, and I may have talked about this analogy before, maybe even recently with my concussion. I can't really remember much. Um, but I'm gonna start trying to, and I'm not gonna put all these on videos, but if they're decent, looking at fights that I had and looking for what are called leaks. Now, if you watch any of my videos, way back in the day, I used to play a lot of online poker. I actually have, I don't know if you can see that, I gotta pull up my thing here. From playing online poker, I have poker chips from different casinos that I've been to. These are actual poker chips, not the cheap ones you get from the thingies, but they're the $1 cheapos. If you ever hear me over on the side here, if you hear that sound, I don't know if you can hear that sound. I think you can. That is me clinking the chips. That is me shuffling the chips. I used to do this for hours and hours. I don't even have to think about it anymore. So the 2 points I want to make with this, I'm trying to, by playing cheap chips and feeling free to die, to learn PvP to the point where I can shuffle or play PvP without making any mistakes. And if you just saw it, if you heard that little tick, 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 that was with me. I incorrectly shuffled the chips. So I'm going to stop doing that now because it's a little bit annoying probably for you. But I do that a lot when I'm reading and stuff. They're just on my side, and I just do it with my hand. The idea being that if you watch the last video, I made some mistakes tactically and uh, made some mistakes of gameplay wise. My skills are medium to low for PvP, but they're not too bad for the ship that I'm flying. And a lot of people seem to think that, in my mind, that it's all about the ship. And my goal is to teach myself how to actually do things. So what I thought I would do is pull up the video. Oh, and this is the second part to it. When I used to play poker, this was 15 years ago, I would take, once you played 100, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 hands, I would, even if I had a winning session like I did earlier today, where I actually won the fight, I could go into 100 hands at once and look at every one and see, okay, how could I have done that better? How could I have gotten more money out of this hand and not lost much money on this hand? And over the long haul, I became a much better poker player by studying each hand that was there. And what you do is you start finding the leaks that you have. Even if you won a hand in poker, could you have won more money out of it? And if you lost a hand, uh, did you not put yourself out there where you lost more than you needed to by making mistakes. So my goal here is to kind of take not hand history, but video footage of these and maybe go over them. And if you guys see something, one thing I thought of right away, and it was actually pointed out to me within like 10 minutes of me posting the video, but I had actually already thought about this. And this is funny, and you're going to see it here in a second. I literally spent the last week working on thermodynamic skills. While I was working and when I had my concussion, I wasn't able to play much. I threw thermodynamics in and I got it up to level 4 so I could start doing it because I'd made that mistake prior and never used it in the entire fight. Won the fight, but never used it. So that was one thing, and I actually did remember to do it in the second battle that I had that I lost. I'm not going to let you worry about that. I lost my second fight later on the day. But I think I actually flew better, and I'm more comfortable with that. So I'm very happy that I won the fight, but I want to get better at doing it. So as you can see here, I'm still in a pod. I haven't actually gotten my ship back, but we're going to pull this down here. I'm just going to use this as reference. As reference, I'm going to just pull up the video here. Let me just and we will minimize you, and we will pull you back up here. Now you may notice I actually said earlier today that I was wearing the hoodie because I still have a scab on the top of my head from my concussion. I'm not going to let you see that, but it is actually better now. So I have it off of there, so I'm feeling pretty good. As you can tell, I'm a little bit more energetic. Got my coffee. So hopefully this is going to go here. Why is it not playing? There we go. So let me just make sure it's playing right now. I turned the volume off, and my head's actually down here from the video from earlier today. But let me go ahead and pause this. And let's take account for the area. So um, if I remember correctly in the video, I had correctly figured out that there was a Kestrel. I'd correctly figured out that he was probably a snipey Kestrel by his name, and Kestrels are missile-based. Um, one thing with a Kestrel, I think I pulled up the info, was that a missile-based ship doesn't have to be a snipey ship. It can also be, there's two major things, but it can also be a rocket ship, which is very close range. So don't just assume because it is a missile-based ship that it is only um, a snipey ship. Same thing, and I haven't flown them, but like assault ships, stuff like that. So, but I had assumed that he was probably, so I felt good. I mean, I'd done a little bit there. What didn't I do here? Well, there were 8 people in system here, and I didn't take the time, and you can do this if you're actually really trying to figure out fights. I could have gone through all of these guys here in Zoo Killborn. It really, once you get it down, it really wouldn't take that long. Or there's some third-party software out there like Pirate's Little Helper and some other things that would bring this information up that might give me an idea of who I was fighting against. And then I could even dig a little bit deeper and see what ships they normally fly. And I could dig even a little bit deeper than that and see do they use certain types of weapons. Um, I am nowhere near to the level of that ability, or I'm not even sure if I'll ever get to that ability, but I know that there's people out there that do this. I've watched their videos. And that is the professional level. Those are the guys who do in the Alliance tournaments and stuff. And if you want something to shoot for, you can do that. On my end, I recognize out there. So going back to the poker analogy, if I can recognize that somebody is much better than me, like a professional poker player or a professional player, I probably don't want to take them on in my best ships. Maybe I want to take them on to learn, but I don't want to take them on that puts me under. There's a lot of analogies with poker that you can do with this, especially when you're doing a PvP because you're going human versus human. Um, so yeah, so I'm warping in here. Now it looks like, yeah, I do not have the tactical screen up here. I do have my armor uh, uh, hardener on, and I'm just warping into the gate here. So not doing too terribly, but I've missed a few things here. Oh, and I think there was one other thing here that I did not do. I did not lower my gameplay um, uh, the what you call it, the graphics to a performance level. I left it on high quality, which actually slows down since I don't have the best computer in the world, slows down my reaction time. So that was another negative that I had there. But did do some positives. Oh, here, and notice here I did actually switch it over to tactical before I got in, so that's a good thing. I want to point out the good stuff and the bad stuff, and if you guys see some stuff, let me know. Um, so I warp in here, and we're gonna get some coffee while we're warping. And I get to the gate. Okay, now this makes me happy. Right here, I actually clicked on the gate and then I clicked up here. Every time I've tried to do the drop down, I click it too early and it won't go, and then just the drop down just sits there, which slows me down. If there was somebody sitting on this gate, it would really be a pain in my buttocks. Um, so I'm happy that I actually clicked up here. That's a bonus. And this will take me inside the site. And if I'm not using the right terminology, apologies. Apologies. That's great. Okay. So let's stop here. Couple things for me to look at. And I did recognize when I landed, he was at 19 kilometers, which tells me he's looking to stay at range. So I probably figured it out correctly. Now, did that stop me from going after him? No, because I want to practice fighting. Um, So what did it tell me? It told me that I needed to close that range as quickly as possible. So before I've done anything here, I need to approach him and hit my afterburner. If I do that, and I can't remember if I did this, if I do that, then that means I started this fight off correctly in my mind. Since my armor is going, I'm not within range of my webifier yet. So I need to start my way toward him and hit my afterburner. I don't want to hit my afterburner. Well, I guess I could because I'm stopped. Doesn't really matter. Okay, I guess I could hit the afterburner and then that. So here we go. So do I approach him? Good. And I like that. I just approached him. I didn't go at him to to orbit him. I went straight at him. So that makes me happy. Now I've still got my mouse over here. What I should be doing right now is trying to target him. Now, one mistake I do here is I don't use my hotkeys. I've been talking about it over ago. It's a major mistake that I constantly make, and I need to get better at using my hotkeys. I was able to. Did I do my mouse for the afterburner? I think I did. Okay, so I want to make sure. See, and this is where you can lose a little bit of time. See, right here, when I hit approach, notice, and I know it's a half a second. I know it's a half a second, but I very easily could have hit approach and hit my hotkey, have it set up correctly, and hit the afterburner right when I hit the approach. Every little bit helps. Especially, I mean, you're, maybe it doesn't help in every fight, but that one fight that you win and you've got 5 structure left, 1%. I've seen fights where people have like 1 or 2% structure left, but they win it. Those are the ones. That's why they win, because they get that last little part in there. So that's another mistake, but something I can work on. So now I'm approaching him. Now, oh, that's why I didn't do it. I talked about this in the video. So I did not target him because I didn't want him to know I. There was a slight chance. Whenever I first warped in, I started my direction toward him. A lot of times when you warp in and somebody's waiting for you, and and that's what I noticed when um, I warped in. He did not automatically target me, and I didn't think about this at the time, but I remember thinking, "Oh, I'm not." Something in my head said, "I'm not sure if he sees me or not." And because I wasn't being targeted, that sound on my end was being targeted. So my hope was that maybe, like I do, he was sitting around and watching YouTube videos because that's all I do all the time, or I read stuff. So if you get that, and it really takes about 3 or 4 seconds to close that range. And whenever I warped in, if he wasn't 100% paying attention, if I hit that target you, then that sound would go off, which would maybe alert him. So I remember I did that on purpose. I'm happy with that. Um, but what I could have done was still hotkey up with F1, F2, and F3 for these three here as I'm approaching, and then as soon as I get within range of him, hit it. So that is, while I'm glad I waited to hit the control, I did not use my hotkeys to do it. So here we go. One of the, that's that part. Um, Two other things I thought about, and the first one is, as you can tell, after the video, and these are two things I want to remember, is you notice I did not overheat anything. So I'm just taking him straight on. So that is a negative, and it's something I need to work on. The other thing I thought of, and if I'm wrong with this, you tell me. I am so sorry. I'm drinking too much coffee. If I'm wrong with this, you tell me in the comments. But the big difference is I have a warp disruptor on here versus a warp scrambler. Um, and the warp disruptor, and I will just pull it up here. That's why I kept this up. I want to just see. I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly because I get them mixed up all the time. Warp disruptor. Okay, and just a regular one. That's all I got. Targets the ship computer and prevents it from warping. Oh, I'm sorry. Then I did not have a warp disruptor. I had a warp scrambler. Let's go ahead and pull that up here on my ship. And this was very, very important. Now, did I know that it would be important before I went after him? Wait. Yeah. Did I spell that wrong? Scrampler. Yeah, that's fantastic. So this is your warp scrambler. So there's two major differences. There's other ones that are there that are important, but I just want to show you these two. The first one is the disruptor. Now, the disruptor prevents another ship from warping, which means it can't warp away. The big bonus with it is you get a distance on it, if I remember correctly, of 20 kilometers. Yeah, optimal range is 20 kilometers. Okay. Now, why I didn't do this on purpose. Well, I did do it on purpose because I'm a Brawly ship. Um, but I went with the Warp Scrambler for two things. If I'm basically I'm going for that death lock. I've got you and I don't want you to get away. And with the Warp Scrambler, disrupts the target ship's navigation computer, disabling warping, jumping, micro warp drives, and micro jump drives. This is the big one for this fight, the micro warp drives. Turns out this fellow actually had a micro warp drive on his ship instead of an afterburner. So my scrambler actually shut down his micro warp drive. Then my webifier actually slowed him down. So he couldn't get away unless he killed me, which is pretty freaking awesome. I got pretty lucky with this fight on who I took on. The fact that I don't know if he wasn't paying attention, but that I was able to close the range. And then number three, that he had a micro warp drive on his ship versus an afterburner, that he might have been able to get away. So he was literally slowed down really big. I wish I had his velocity over here. This screen should have been a little bit larger here, but it isn't. But I could have gotten that in here too. So those were the two main, the fact that I didn't use the thermodynamics, but the bonus that I actually had a warp scrambler on it. Now, does that mean you use a warp scrambler for everything? No, it doesn't. But it really worked out well for this one. So there it is. I start hitting him. I start grazing him a little. And there's one last thing here that, if I remember correctly, I probably made some other mistakes here. But there's one last thing that I make a mistake on, and it's right here. He dampens me, if I remember correctly. Sensor dampens. So I'm going to pull that up here. And hopefully you'll laugh at this. I think it's a dampener. Module. Yeah, any one of these will do. Let's say a remote sensor dampener. Reduces the range and speed of the target ship's sensors. This module can be loaded with scripts to increase the effectiveness of certain areas. So he actually used this on me. I'm not sure what he used it with. I probably might be able to see in the video if not. And what it can do is lower the targeting range, the scan resolution. I think there's something else. I think that's it. Maybe that's it. But you can script it out so it does either one. He might have done the maximum targeting range. The negative for me was when he did it, I couldn't remember what this does to me. So my knowledge was lacking. Now, I remembered later on kind of what it did, but during the fight, when I saw it, I couldn't remember what a sensor dampener did. So I need to learn that. I need to keep it and remember it. So that is one of the major things that I made a mistake on there. As far as the rest of it here, this is going a lot longer than I thought it was, but hey, why not? Come on, come on back. So he knocks down my shields. Remember, I'm passively tanked. I'm not actively tanked, which makes me very happy. He was hitting me with thermal damage, which I think I'm okay with against. But he was hitting me harder, and I got him down into his structure here. And I got all these things on him, so I'm doing pretty well. I did have a range of about 1,500 kilometers, so I guess maybe he might have been trying to get away from me. And if I remember correctly, I did say good fight. I was kind of stunned that I actually did it. Um, good fight. Yeah, there we go. I'm sure I made other mistakes, but there's a lot of things that I was very happy with. But some major things that I've been trying to learn to do that I didn't get in the thermodynamics I didn't do. The tactical I finally remembered on my flight in, so that worked. I did not use uh, all the things that I talked about there. So I'm getting a little bit better, but still a lot of room to go. But if this helps you guys to learn from my mistakes, that's all this is for. So I did another video later on today where I die. I have not looked at it yet. I'm not going to spend a ton of time going over it because it's pretty quick. Is this it here? No, that's the one I'm making right now. I think I had the volume off on this one. This was after the Eagles won. Let's go ahead and pause this. And I will just show you here. Blah, 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 blah. Oops, nope, that's that. All right, fine. There it is. So I have my Eagles hat on. If you haven't noticed, I don't know, a lot of you guys might be from overseas. Maybe you don't care much about the NFL. The colors of my room, green and white. Philadelphia Eagles. Hat, Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles 7-0. Okay, that's the last I'm going to talk about it because I'll probably lose some subscribers because they're Cowboys fans or something else. And I'm not gloating. I'm just happy. I'm just happy. I'm sure we're going to lose at some point, but I'm just happy. You gotta take the good with the good. Okay, so this is my fight later on in the day. So I wanted to show you guys. I'm not going to notice here. It's only a minute and 52 seconds. So I got it recording as I was flying in. The thing I want to show you is this right here. There's two ships in here. And I'm very happy with what I did, even though I died, because I was playing, I was actually doing something tactical, seeing if I could pull something off. And this is where, whenever I first started playing and I learned to become an exploration character and learning the directional scanning, I got much, much better at it. I would say I'm an average to a barely above average directional scanner. But I use it a ton now, which I never used to use 8 years ago when I used to play. And I've been able to transfer that knowledge from being an explorer over to here. And you've seen me do where I'm checking the sites. Um, this one, I actually watched it. There was a Punisher and another ship in there, and I can't remember what it was. I had started the recording afterward. There were two ships in here, and I thought about going to fight them. But when I did my directional scan out to 360, I also saw a wolf out in another site. And if I remember correctly, it was this small site. So I was kind of sitting around watching what was going on. Then I saw the wolf leave the site it was in, and then suddenly it showed up in the site that I'm going into right now. And I watched a little bit, and I kept refreshing my D scan here, and I noticed that one of the ships died. And this is where partly I'm flying really, really cheap ships. Um, but the other part, I had so much fun with this because I figured it. I said there's an 80% chance that this Wolf, which is a Tech 2 ship, went after the Punisher, and in the other ship I think was a Tech 1 ship. It went after both of those to fight them. And I was hoping, I was like, let's go for it, because I was hoping he killed the first guy, so hopefully the first guy in the set, the Punisher, were still there. The Punisher was still there fighting him. I wasn't there, so I was just trying to figure it out. Um, but I was hoping that he'd been knocked down enough by those two guys that maybe if I warped in at the same time, I might be able to kill him, take out a Tech 2 ship, jump in there. And I don't have any problem with that. You're out, like the rules go. You, I don't mind, sneaking in and trying to do that because I know there's a lot of other people who will do it. And the rule is when you undock, you are consenting to PvP, whether you're going up against one guy or 50 guys or guy after guy after guy after guy. And so I was hoping that I could jump in and take out this Tech 2 ship, um, or at least see what happens, because that's the fun part of it. So, let's see what happened. Obviously, it's only 150, and I've already ruined it. I die. Um, but let's hit play, and it goes black. I don't know why it goes black like that. Doesn't. There we go. So I'm flying in. There it is. So remember earlier the Punisher was there? This Punisher? I haven't D-scanned since then. Now there's two ships that are dead. So he was able to kill that Punisher in between the time that I got to the gate and was able to warp in. He was finishing him off. And here is the wolf here. Rordig. It's great. So I get in and I try to do the exact. Now, I got this up and running. I've got the tactical on. Let's pause it. I went to close with him. Now, if I'm not mistaken, most of the time, I think a wolf is is upgraded Rifter. So he's probably going to be doing the same thing that I'm doing. And I knew that. Um, but I went to close the distance. Let me just back it up here just a little bit. Okay. Is okay, I did the close, and then I scroll up here, hit the afterwards. So I'm still not using my hotkeys. Still not using my hotkeys. I target him and then I click through my buttons. See how much time I'm wasting doing this. Okay, so I was correct. Notice he had been knocked down under his shields and into his armor. Now, does he have an armor repairer? I don't know. Um, I do have the web of fire on him right now, but I'm not close enough to have the warp scrambler. That's not going to be an issue because he's going to blow me up. But I do last a little bit. He goes ahead and disrupts or scrambles me there. Okay. He goes right into my shields, right there. Now, now we're at 50%. Do I actually do any damage to him? I'm pinging him, but I'm not doing a lot. So he is armor tank, most likely. And my guns are now missing him for some reason. At 1,000. Okay, so why are my guns missing? I'll figure that out later on. Hit him for 14. He's hitting me for 212. He's already into my armor here. He's pinging me down. I'm doing some damage to him, but not a whole lot. So he's really well tanked. Maybe I should have gone for a different type of ammo. Um, but this fight doesn't let. And one of the drawbacks with flying a frigate is the fight goes so quickly that you don't have the times to adjust your ammo and stuff like that. And notice here, I don't have my warp scramble on him yet. So when I was clicking through these, I must have just missed it. Now, does it matter for this fight? No. But using the hotkeys, I would have it on there. And it gets me down, structure, yeah. And he is, I noticed that right there, he is repairing. So he is an active repairer with better armor than me. I think at one point here, I actually tried to disengage with him a little bit, but that doesn't work at all. Yeah, see right here, I actually try to get about 15. I get up to 2,900 kilometers away. I was actually trying to align to this station to get away, but I died, and that's cool. I'm not going to go super in depth into this fight because I kind of went in depth in the other one. Um, Although I kind of have already. Just wanted to show you how it's not about pointing and clicking a lot. I really think a lot of it, if you want to have fun, can really involve um, uh, really involve uh, the tactical side of it. And even though I died in this one, I think I had just as much fun fighting this one that I did the other one. And I'm not talking about the win, I'm talking about the whole time that I was doing it. I'm not talking about the actual fight, it was the whole lead up to the fight too. I was figuring it out, playing the game, trying to see what was going on. So that was cool. Uh, so yeah, and I got away. Just want to see if he actually says good fight to me. I can't remember if I stopped it. He did. All right, cool. Thanks, man. Um, that is that. I know there's other things to this. The one thing that when I do my training classes at work, or actually whenever I'm training, this is kind of funny. With my job at work, I run a training department, or for a shift. Not the department, the shift. I'm not important. But I have a lot of people who do the training classes who I coach. And they do, if somebody has had issues, and they do single person trainings where they might not be doing their jobs correctly. And the one thing that I always tell my new trainers, or my new people who conduct these classes is, and look for three things to coach somebody on. Three things that you can do. Once you get past that, people start forgetting things they're working on. So I don't want to go too in depth with these. I want to keep focusing on three things I'm doing well with. And if I remember correctly, a couple episodes ago, I talked about I wanted to work on my tactical. I wanted to work on setting up my uh, system correctly for so I'm not in the I'm in higher performance versus higher quality, and I wanted to work on my hotkeys. Well, you know what? Two fights in a row, I was able to do the tactical, so I'm good with that, and I feel good about that. But I did one of them. This one I actually remember to turn my performance level on. So I did half of the time for that, and neither one did I use hotkeys. So I'm not going to worry about the tactical anymore. I'm going to hope that I keep doing that. But I'm going to focus on these two and putting the thermal in there. Oh, wait, I think I remembered to put the thermal into this fight. Yes, I actually did thermalize my stuff on this one. See right there? So that actually makes me happy, but it's something I think I still need to continue to work on. So yeah, that's about it. I had a lot of fun doing both of these fights, partly because I won and partly because I'm back to playing. And I'm having a lot of fun reviewing it and making this video, to be honest with you. So other than that, I might do a lot more of these. And if you can learn from what my mistakes and a few of my positives, that's awesome. I just it'd be cool to see because I think a lot of people get scared to go out and try. And a lot of times, especially when you're first flying PvP like I'm doing, I'm going to die 99% of the time until I learn how to do stuff. And hopefully this gives some people some ideas as to how to do their stuff or how to get started and not worry about dying, that sort of thing. So, and not rely on these fantastic ships to have fun. Now down the road, I want to fly some blingy ships, but not right now. Okay, enough of me talking. That's about it for today. Uh, I'll be playing tomorrow, the next day. I do have, there's a slight chance, um, well, I might have some good news tomorrow. Personal good news. Not astounding, but some good news. So if I have that, I will make a video tomorrow and let you guys know. Or it might be a couple days later, but I'll find out. Alrighty, that's it. Hope you guys have a great night, great day. Fly safe, fly dangerously, fly however that you want, and I will talk to you later. Bye bye.